Welcome to Buffalo Kickoff Live. We have finally arrived. It is game day, Bills fans. AFC Championship game coming up later tonight. The Bills and the Chiefs. We are live outside of Arrowhead Stadium. I'm Josh Reed alongside Thad Brown. Matt Perino is here from Syracuse.com. Back in the studio, we've got Heather Prusak and Sal Capaccio from WGR 550. They will be joining us momentarily. Thad, 4 years ago, when Sean McDermott arrived, he started spoon-feeding everybody who would listen. We're the underdogs. We are always going to be the underdogs. No one respects us. Look, the first 2 weeks, they weren't the underdogs. They were the favorite, right? They were the #2 seed. Now they're playing the defending Super Bowl champs, and guess what? We're back to we're the underdog. We're the underdog.
And these guys love playing the underdog card like no one else. This week, Jerry Hughes got a question from a reporter about, there are a lot of people around the country who are picking the Chiefs and not picking the Bills. Now, I don't know if really that's the case. It seems to me like the Bills have long passed the mark of not getting any respect. Didn't matter to Jerry Hughes. Boy, he jumped on that question, both hands, both arms, wrapped himself right around it and talked about, the experts, they don't really watch us. They don't know us. They just see what they want to see. If you can convince this Bills team that they don't get a respect from maybe just one person who's among the 17,000 in that building tonight, that becomes a huge point of motivation for them. And there's nothing better than this team being on the road. Josh, if this team ever goes 16-0 and is favored in every game they play, I don't know what they'll do. They might not even show up for the game because if they can't play this underdog card, they are just not comfortable doing it.
A lot of players on this team, they don't only embrace the city, they embrace the community. And a lot of them kind of become an extension of that community. And the way that Jerry Hughes and Jordan Poyer talk about what it's like to be an underdog, it feels a lot like Buffalo, doesn't it? And if you're sitting at home and you're a member of Bills Mafia and you want to get jacked up, just fast forward to the end of that Jerry Hughes clip when he said, we're going to continue to punch people in the mouth. And they got to come out with the overhand right tonight because they're going up against the Super Bowl champs.
Look, they are the embodiment of the underdog, right? The quarterback's not going to be any good because he came out of Wyoming in his rookie year. He's not going to be Matt Milano. They drafted him. He's a safety. He doesn't have a real role in any defense. He's probably their best player on defense now. It's just they do embody the underdog role.
And they enjoy it too. And I think we got to forget about the fact, or maybe we overlook the fact that they do have good, notable players on this team, too. They've got a first-rounder on their defensive line at Oliver. They've got a all-pro wide receiver at Stephon Diggs they traded for. So this Bills team, and I think you look at the way this roster's constructed, young guys, old guys, experience, talent. I think the way Brandon Beane has put this team together, no matter how much they want to play the underdog, we don't get any respect card, you've got to respect what Brandon Beane has done because it is just the right mix, and we've seen it on the field.
Well, don't forget Jordan Poyer, a cast-off from the Cleveland Browns, and he has been sensational. Let's hear from the Bills safety.
I don't think anybody's given us a chance really all year. Like I said, the guys between these walls, man, we're the ones that matter. We're the ones that believe in ourselves, have the confidence. We're not really worried about, what other people pick because most of the time those guys are wrong, So, we're just worried about us. And at the end of the day, we always talk about, it's not about them. They got to come play us. So, that's just our mindset.
Well, you know who's not an underdog ever? Patrick Mahomes. Jordan Poyer and this Bills defense is going to have their hands full in this one.
Yeah, and I mean, you go back to last year, and I know there's a lot of talk about the injury and the concussion, or was it a concussion, and what kind of Patrick Mahomes is going to be in this game. Remember when they went up against San Francisco last year in the Super Bowl? In 3 quarters, this San Francisco defense just shut this Chiefs offense down. He's never out of a game. He can make plays when it seems like all hope is lost. And the Bills defense knows that. They got to see it up close and personal. He made big plays, and he didn't even really have to do much in Week 6. They got to get pressure from all angles, and they got to take advantage of all the opportunities.
To underscore that point, Jerry Hughes talked this week about defending Patrick Mahomes as a scrambling quarterback. Compared it to Lamar Jackson last week, and you think, well, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, yeah, they both scramble, but they do it in entirely different ways, and that was Hughes' point. With Lamar Jackson, you got to worry about him running past you. But with Mahomes, the defensive linemen know that he's actually looking downfield 20 yards, trying to make the big play that way. It changes angles, pursuit, all the different ways you want to corral that kind of scrambling quarterback.
The Chiefs lost 2 games this season. The Raiders scored 40. and the Chargers scored 38. The only way to beat Patrick Mahomes is to put up some big points. We're going to go back to the studio now. Heather and Sal with more.
Yeah, basically when it comes to facing Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs are never out of the game until the clock hits 0. I don't believe what the final score is going to be because Patrick Mahomes can do just ridiculous things. And here's the thing, Sal. Sometimes the best defense when facing a guy like this comes from your offense, keeping him off the field as much as possible. And I know we've talked about how the Bills have struggled to get their running game going, but I think in this one, time of possession is going to play a huge role in this game, and sometimes the best way to kind of make up for a lack of a running game is in that short passing game, and I think we might see that today.
Yeah, that's what I think the Bills might want to do here is get Devin Singletary involved, not necessarily as a running back handing him the ball, but throwing him out of the backfield. Let's go back to week 6. Right out of the gate, the Bills in their first second half possession, the first play, a 13-yard screen pass to Devin Singletary. I thought it was open a lot more than that. They didn't really go to it. And then you have Dawson Knox as well. The Cleveland Browns made a little hay throwing to their tight ends last week against the Kansas City Chiefs. And one underrated injury we haven't talked a lot about, Willie Gay, a linebacker for the Kansas City Chiefs, is not going to play. He's dealing with a high ankle sprain. He is a fast, athletic linebacker. They like to match him up in situations where they think they have to have a guy go sideline to sideline. And I think the Bills might be able to move the ball a little bit by using the short passing game instead of the running game. People say, you got to run the ball better, got to run the ball better. The Bills don't really want to run the ball. They want to throw the ball.
That pretty much is running the ball when you talk about those that short passing game. And when it comes to Devin Singletary, I think that he's actually been more effective in that way. And that's something that when they drafted him, we talked a lot about, is Devin Singletary the pass catcher?
Yeah, and let's talk about Josh Allen as the runner. I think that becomes the supplement to your running game. Josh Allen did a nice job in week 6 running the ball a little bit against them. So I think in this game, it's not about handing the ball off to Devin Singletary to help control the clock. It's using Josh Allen as a runner, using Devin Singletary in the passing game. I think you can control the game a lot more that way.
You talk about methodical drives and moving down the field that way. That's what the Bills are going to have to do in order to keep Patrick Mahomes on the sideline as much as possible.
Yeah, but the Bills do have the big strike ability, of course. And guess what? The Kansas City Chiefs, they have given up the 9th most passing plays of 20 yards or more and the 9th most passing plays of 40 yards or more this year. There will be opportunity to go over the top. Josh had them in week 6. He missed a couple of them, a couple to Stephon Diggs, one to John Brown. They got to connect when those opportunities present.
And I think, too, from that game, I mean, Josh Allen has grown so much since week 6, and we've seen that. And even the chemistry with him and Stephon Diggs, it's only grown and it's only gotten better. So I think we're going to be able to see them be able to connect on those deep balls even more than we did in week 6 in this game today. Again, they've got to take advantage of every single drive, every single possession, because against the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, you have to score. You got to get 6 whenever possible. All right, before we hit the break, let's get to this week's poll question. We're asking you, speaking of that week 6 game, do you think the experience of playing the Chiefs earlier in the season, do you think that's going to help the Bills in today's AFC title game? You can vote right now at WIVB.com, and we'll share the results for you at the very end of the show. Well, speaking of the Bills offense, we're going to check in with Bills left tackle Dion Dawkins, just as we do every week. That's coming up next in the Big Schno on BKL. Stay with us.